Steve, good to see you again, as always.
It's great. Great to be here.
So you've been to how many Phocuswright conferences? A lot, a few, many.
This is number 19.
Number 19, so you do remember number 19. So what is your favorite memory that you could share with us from a Phocuswright conference?
It'd have to be the year we actually sold KAYAK, which is 10 years ago, and we cleaned the hotel out of champagne of many different brands with some of your staff, actually.
I remember. That was a lot of fun.
It was fun.
I observed. I didn't participate, though, but I was observed. So, and there's a lot of numbers here. So you've been running your business for 18 years, but probably longer, right? 10 under Priceline, now Booking Holdings. Booking is on its fourth CEO, again, if I can count. And you are one of the few remaining founders with, Steve gone, Steve leaving TripAdvisor. So what keeps you engaged?
We have a lot of undone work at KAYAK and OpenTable. So, we've been at it for 18 years at KAYAK, at 20 years at OpenTable, and we still haven't solved the core problem, which is making travel and dining better, right? So I think I've got a great team at both companies. I'm having a lot of fun. And so far to date, Booking Holdings hasn't found anyone better to take my job, which is a relief to me.
So people are putting their money into some questionable startups lately, right? So we have crypto went bust. Facebook, Meta went, lost billions. What should we be investing in these days?
I recommend mutual funds. It's probably a better place to put your money. You don't have to worry about active management. I definitely wouldn't put it into Altimeter Capital. I made that mistake. Brad Gerstner's not here for the first time, and he's a good friend of mine, but it's an inside joke, by the way. Sorry. Not too many people are laughing, so no one got it.
They're laughing. See? Front row's laughing. And what should we not be investing in?
Anything you don't understand, you shouldn't invest in.
So I shouldn't invest in blockchain?
Depends if you want to make money. If you want to make money, don't.
Don't. Okay. What is the stupidest thing you've seen happen in the travel industry lately?
I don't know. There's so many candidates, right? Look, I was in the investor pitch this morning for a bunch of new companies, and there's a lot of great ideas floating around, but not clearly defined business plans for getting after it. And the difference between this year and years prior is I don't think they're going to get funding. So it's nice to see that climate change a little bit. I always tell people you should invest behind ideas and problems that are worth solving. And the last few years, there's been a lot of capital chasing ideas that shouldn't have been funded.
So what are some of the ideas worth solving?
Anything that can help improve the guest experience, the consumer experience, and increase monetization are worth getting after. Anything that involves a lot of jargon and concepts that people can't explain in a very concise manner probably aren't.
Okay. So I want to just, before we get into some more detail on KAYAK, I just want to stay with some of this kind of big picture stuff. And I'm going to ask you on 1 to 10, with 1 being the least excited and 10 being the most excited about some of these trends, buzzwords, whatnot. So we'll start with 1 to 10. Metaverse.
0. Anyone here actually been in the metaverse? Show of hands. Who's actually donned a pair of goggles, done that thing? Yeah, 0.
0. Blockchain. I think you.
4.
4. Okay.
Yeah, the idea of distributed digital ledger is a good one.
Fintech.
5.
Buy now, pay later.
Same 5. Same thing.
Okay, so men's and men's.
What's that?
You're not very excited. You're like in the middle.
Well, yeah. I mean, the issue with buy now, pay later, as Klarna has discovered, is when you lend money to people you know very little about, a lot of times they don't pay you back.
NDC, 1 order.
What is it?
NDC and 1 order.
2.
Bleisure or blended travel.
I hate both. I hate both. I do both, by the way. This is more leisure than the
So
business
1
here.
to 10.
What's a 10? Gin and tonics at the bar right now would be a 10.
But bleisure gets and you do it. But you
Bleisure's
don't
a real
like it.
trend.
Why?
So,
Why?
so how many people
Like it,
here?
and if so many people. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm talking over you.
No, please.
How many people here are adding a day on either side of the conference to just hang around? Yeah, so that's bleisure. And this is Arizona. Not a lot of people want to be in Arizona.
Hopper.
A hopper, 0 to 10? Jury's out, 6. They're unproven. I love the concept, I love the team, but I'd love to see the P&L too.
You gave him a 6. I think that's your highest rating you gave anything on this list. Okay, Fred will be happy. So, we haven't been taking a lot of audience questions, but we did, in this one instance, I do believe there is a question that we have coming in on Zoom.
We're getting ready.
Okay.
Paul, you're going.
Oh, hey, look at that. It's Bono from U2.
Hi, Paul.
Good to see you. And I'm not in Arizona today. Okay, I have 2 questions for you. The first one, really quick. What's 3 things we did right in the first year of KAYAK?
We hired a great team, we had a problem we're solving, and we raised the right amount of capital.
And 3 things we did wrong in year 1.
Setting up a dev center in Bangalore, having a commercial center in Norwalk with me and a dev center with you, and then putting, Terry Jones as our chairman. That's a joke, Terry. I saw him earlier.
Great to see you, Steve. I'll see you soon in Miami.
Yeah, Paul, good luck. Do not get married, by the way.
Thank you, Paul. What do you think of his new business, Boston Venture Studio?
Paul has done much greater things from KAYAK since he moved on than I've done since I've stayed with KAYAK. And he's an incredibly bright mind, magical person, and he just attracts these great ideas and great teams to him. So Boston Venture Studios, they're funding a bunch of startups, and I hope they all pay off.
What was wrong with putting your headquarters in Norwalk?
I think it's good to have co-located teams. It's less of an impediment these days because we have Zoom and we can all work remotely. But back when we started KAYAK 18 years ago, that was totally suboptimal. And I hated driving between Norwalk and Maynard, Mass at the time.
It was a long drive. So let's go to business travel, because you think leisure is boring, but do you think business travel is boring?
I don't think business travel is boring, and actually, KAYAK has a couple of initiatives going after it right now.
I know.
So we announced KAYAK for Business a year ago. We've got 2,600 companies signed up, a fair bit of transaction volume going through that now. And we recently introduced, I don't know if we've announced it yet, KAYAK for Enterprise, which is really for big corporations. We've got one company on there who I've been told I cannot name yet, but it's a household name. And the idea is if they like the product, then we roll it out to more customers.
So is that in place of a TMC?
KAYAK for Enterprise is in place of a TMC, although we are actually not handling the service aspect. So a TMC that wants to do the customer service is welcome to play.
And what would you say is the most disruptive thing happening in business travel?
Oh, I think everyone's trying to take cost out, right? And you heard Startups talk today about capturing more off-platform bookings. So we're trying to pursue both to capture more in system, and also to take cost out by bypassing the GDS, going direct to the suppliers, using blockchain as a single source of truth for servicing the transaction, and then using new payment methods. We'll give it a go. Hopefully it works.
So you're putting a lot of eggs in the business, obviously, KAYAK Enterprise and doing business travel on the corporate side, not so much the service side, providing more efficiencies, like you said, taking costs out. So is that kind of going to be a major focus for KAYAK now going forward?
No, the major focus, the big game in town is our core meta product for consumers. And that's still got a lot of innings left or game left in it. So that part of our business is still rocking. even though the folks from Google are continuing to make inroads. I think that's where our main focus will be. We'll continue to make investments in K for B and KAYAK for Enterprise, and then we tried a little bit to dally into the hotels aspect too, and we've had some uneven traction on that part of the business.
What about what you're doing with hotels? Because you did, right? You had the hotels in Miami and
Yeah.
Mexico, really operating the hotels. So what did you learn from that, kind of being on the other side?
Yeah, so we opened 3 hotels. For those of you who don't know, we opened 3 KAYAK-branded hotels over the last 18 months. They exceeded our initial expectations, which were quite low. But we learned a few things, which is operating hotels is a really shitty business. Really difficult. You need to be on it every day. It's people intensive. It's capital intensive. And we're no better at it than anybody else who's doing it. In fact, relative to some people, we're worse at it. But we have learned that the technology behind it, which is our deep spot in terms of our capabilities, we can do the technology. We can offer the pricing insights, and we can do the channel management and distribution. So we're working with a great partner right now who's actually operating our hotels named Lifehouse to figure out how we can put our 2 tech stacks together to make something that's really compelling, not for Marriott branded properties, but for small independents. And that's where our focus is now.
Right. So what are you doing with Lifehouse? These are more like what, apartments?
So yeah, no, they're hotels. They're hotels.
Hotels.
Lifehouse is actually the day-to-day operations and management. We have 3 hotels. They manage them, but they actually have another 60 hotels in their portfolio. They're excellent at managing hotels, and they have a great back-end software stack. We have a very good front-end.
And you invested
consumer.
in them, right? In Lifehouse.
We did. And there's actually a couple other Lifehouse investors in the room too. I saw Chris Hemmeter up on stage earlier.
And what are the plans? How many more hotels do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect to see more branded KAYAK hotels anytime soon, unless we actually get better at making them profitable and making the KAYAK app have a couple killer features in it.
So what are some of the trends going on in air right now? Like what's happening in terms of, pricing and how we have...
Is anyone happy with the airfares they paid to get out here? No, definitely not. I think what's going on with airlines is they've figured out how to be disciplined on capacity, and they've figured out how to do upselling and cross-selling really well. And at KAYAK, we're trying to lean into those trends, which is help the airlines do a better job of matching up what consumers are looking for on KAYAK to an actual transaction path and a conversion on the other side. So that means fair families. That means upsell opportunities on not just insurance, but buy now, pay later, all the fintech stuff. And it's early days, but the airlines have certainly gotten a lot better at yield management. I just wish governments would get better at security and border checkpoint staffing.
Yeah, that could still need some fixing.
Yeah.
What about hotels? Because, well, first of all, I guess the FTC, right? And Biden's looking for this, the resort fee, kind of doing that. So you have this one price, right, as opposed to this, drip pricing. And, Airbnb as well, saying, we're just going to give you the total price. So what does that mean for Meta, right? Because Meta is about kind of comparing all different prices, and it should be a good thing for consumers.
Yeah, look, I think total price has its pros and cons. We all know that by showing total price, we reduce conversion. Nobody wants to know the total price of something before they experience it. I think about my holiday trips to like Cancun. If you had told me in college what they would have actually cost, full price, I wouldn't have gone. I think it's pricing transparency overall is good for consumers. It's good if it's consistently applied for Meta as well. But I don't know. I think the industry will align behind it. But I do wonder if it's a little bit onerous on the government side to push it down. But KAYAK, for example, we display total price by default.
And then, airlines make so much money with ancillaries, but, hotels don't, right? Should they?
I think hotels make a ton of money with ancillaries. They just don't make it to the same extent as the airlines do. Is anyone here who signed up for Wi-Fi in their room who's not a Marriott Bonvoy member, you paid $14.99 to connect to the internet. That's a pretty good ancillary fee for them. It's easier to sign up for Bonvoy, by the way, which I did this morning.
And what about loyalty, right? Because now, we're really pushing loyalty in many different directions. Expedia's kind of has all of its brands under one label, and we see, obviously competing with hotel loyalty programs. The loyalty really isn't loyalty; it's about points. Where do you see, but yet so many suppliers want that direct connection. They want to build that direct connection. So where is that going? Where's loyalty going? And is there loyalty at KAYAK?
Well, KAYAK doesn't have a loyalty program. We tried with something stupid called Explorer Points that I supported, actually. So that decision, that's the decision. We just don't have enough margin to play with to do a loyalty program. But I think loyalty programs like Bonvoy from Marriott are the killer app for the chains, for when you have a distributed system like that. And I think Expedia's Hotels.com brand had a pretty good loyalty program. I think Booking.com, our sister brand at Booking Holdings, has a pretty good loyalty program. So that is something that Expedia should be chasing. I don't know that Peter's implementation of that is the right one, but we'll find out.
And the Genius program's been pretty successful.
Awesome program. How many folks are in the Genius program for Booking.com? How many people are Genius level 2, level 3? Awesome, right? You don't use Expedia, do you?
You think it's going to make it harder for hotels, or they're still killing it right now?
No, look, I think if you're an independent hotelier and you're looking for a leg up against the other independent hotel that's in the Booking.com display, you would be remiss not to participate in a great program like Genius. And the beauty of that program is it's supplier funded. The money's not coming out of Booking.com's pocket; it's coming out of the supplier. And that's true, by the way, for hotels that fly the Marriott flag. They're paying Marriott for the loyalty program. Marriott's not actually paying for that.
Okay. So OTAs, Meta can obtain loyalty.
I think the OTAs have a better shot at it than the Metas do. Okay. For sure.
What about B2B? So what are some of the things that KAYAK's doing on the B2B side in terms of powering other?
Yeah, well, look, we have a lot of affiliate websites that we power. Yeah, we do a lot of private label stuff. I mean, we actually have 7 meta brands, but the core B2B DNA for KAYAK is actually getting rates and content from travel suppliers and OTAs. That's the B2B part of our business, is the partnerships we strike. The rest of our business is the B2C. Yeah, we do affiliate deals, but they're not a meaningful piece of our business. We power flights and cars on Trivago, for example. How many people knew that? Nobody. Oh, someone from our commercial team.
She's like your biggest fan right here.
But.
So what kind of trends are you seeing? I mean, obviously you're seeing some forward trends. I mean, there's a lot of optimism yesterday. Everybody's like, yeah, there's no recession, and 2023 is going to be a great year, and when which is great, right, for the travel industry, because they're coming off this year of pent-up demand and unprecedented rates and volume. But you have forward-looking data. What are you seeing?
We're also a publicly traded company, so I can't make forward-looking statements. But I'll tell you, we just came off the best quarter the Booking Holdings ever had, and I'm personally eager for that trajectory and momentum to continue. I think travel and experiences is something that people want, and I'm hopeful that the macro environment allows people to exercise that desire.
Any recommendations, comments to the audience on how to get through 2023 if things get a little difficult?
I mean, look, if you're in crypto, get out, put that into your checking account, and that's about the only advice I can give you. I've got no foresight into market conditions. If you have debt, try to reduce that down as quickly as you can too.
Okay. So I gather you haven't purchased any real estate in the metaverse?
Thankfully, no. But if you have, you might want to short the stuff that you haven't bought.
So I have one last question. So it's the holidays, and you get a big gift from your boss, okay, which is not monetary. What is it?
Time off.
And what do you give him?
What would I give Glenn for the holidays? I don't know, better numbers.
Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Hafner.
Thank you.